And good evening and welcome to your view with me, JJ Tabane. Coming to you live from Linden here in Johannesburg. Because on Thursdays, we try and have a look at what things stood out. And this week was a particularly bad week for gender-based violence. It's a week that's supposed to kick off the 16 days of no violence against women. But clearly, that message is not sinking in to anyone. It's bad what has happened. We've just heard now in the news there, Kwanele Zuma being murdered by a bunch of animals. Because I don't know how else to describe what they did. The same way that we have seen this week, a Limpopo student being stabbed 57 times. Or is it 52? All right, 52, 57. Same difference. How do you stab somebody 52 times? How do you do? By the time you get to 20, what has possessed you? And that's what I was saying yesterday. It's well and good for us to issue statements about these kind of things. Let's hear what the president had to say through his spokesperson this week about that murder of the young lady in Limpopo.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has expressed absolute outrage and horror at the brutal killing of a 21-year-old student, Precious Ramabulana. The president has directed the Minister of Police to spare no effort in ensuring that the perpetrator of this crime is speedily apprehended and brought to face the full might of the law. The president condemns the act in the harshest possible terms, and he says that we simply cannot go on like this. He is calling upon anybody who has information to aid law enforcement agencies in their work to track down Precious's killer. The president once again sends his deepest condolences to her family, to her friends, and he wishes them strength during this very, very difficult time of grief.
All right. Indeed, something that is truly, truly harrowing for a family to have to go and bury someone, their child, stabbed 52 times in a country like ours, that is making all sorts of pronouncements about how we are opposed to gender-based violence and so on. Of course, we must commend the president for beginning to step up for two things. One, to make sure that the words of condemnation of gender-based violence is followed by putting the necessary resources onto it. Of course, we know that the president has set aside now 1 billion rand. But of course, this was not a voluntary action that just happened because the president woke up and felt like a nice guy. It's action that emerged from the women of our country standing up to say enough is enough. That happens to be the slogan or the theme for this year's 16 days of activism. So for us to be able to say enough, it's also to be seen to be acting, and that's why we must commend the president. Not that we should always shout, and when he, in fact, does do things that are pointing us in the right direction, we've got to be able to commend him. We commend him for pulling out of the chairman's conversation tonight to send a message that says none of us are above reprimand when it comes to issues of gender-based violence. And people cannot duck and dive and say clever things to make people forget what is a big cloud hanging over this country on gender-based violence. Femicide and so on, it's not a private matter. Femicide is not a private. When you beat up your wife, when you stab your girlfriend, it's not a private matter. Because eventually something that will require all of us to know will happen. Karabo Mukwena and their boyfriend, I'm sure it was a private thing. She ended up in a dustbin. This guy who stabbed a lady 52 times, they were having a cozy relationship by themselves. He climbed through a window to stab her 52 times. Nothing private about it. Nothing private about it. And we must stop with that nonsense. You must be able to tell your friends it's not private. It's as public as it comes because the law does not allow you to beat up anybody. The law doesn't even allow you to beat up your own children these days. The Constitutional Court has pronounced that you shall not beat up your children. That's how private it could get. Once you raise your hand to someone, your partner, your wife, it's no longer a private matter. And we must all talk about it and make it unfashionable. at the highest echelons of business, at the highest echelons of government. We must stop the nonsense wherever it happens. So tonight, we'll be having a roundtable with a range of women from various organizations to come and drill down on this issue. What are the actions we need to be taking as individuals, as people in circles of friends, where our friends beat up their wives? What do we do? What do we do in churches, where we've got abusive pastors who are a piece of shame, if you ask me, who people look up to them and then they go and sexually harass young, molest women who go into their church? What do we do? Because it's stuff like this we don't talk about. Oh no, it's hush, hush. Please don't say such things. We got to say these things because people in society who are leaders in civil society, leaders in business, leaders in church, are the ones who are accused of these things. And then we mollycoddle it, we want to forget it. You know, it's shocking. You know, the number of people who've come out to march in support of Omotoso in the PE court when he appears there after molesting 37 young children. It's a shameful thing. And when some of them are elders, man. You know, big church women, big and you know, powerful and energetic, coming out supporting this guy who is said to have groomed young children for his sexual pleasure. They're coming out, hey, you know, hands off Omotoso, hands off. And this is what's happening in our communities. And then you come and tell me it's private. That's nonsense. And there's nothing private about it. Yeah, and the communities won't remember never say, hey, bekezela ngwanaka. Hey, it's talking ngwanaka, wait. Mona utupa or it's talking. Utozo listen to pukwahu. You are going to leave your house as a corpse. Ubekezela. We need to talk about these things. And stop with this difference. Stop with this thing of closing ranks with people we like. We must stop it. Anyway, Tshwane, and I didn't even have time to come talk about Tshwane more. You know, the people of Hammanskraal don't have water, but these guys are still fighting over who's going to be mayor and so on. In Johannesburg, they couldn't even get themselves to elect a new mayor. It's a mess, man, all over. It's a bloody mess. You know, this thing of that's happening in Tshwane and Joburg and also Nelson Mandela. It's sad in that, you know, I've been thinking, because all these guys are thieves, man. You know, the politicians are just waiting to steal. That if you have a coalition government, they will sort of guard each other so that they don't steal so much. Hey, we gotta together. Because if you just look at what is happening in Nelson Mandela, then you got a party with one seat. And then they have a mayor, for some reason, concocted reason of these calculations, they end up with a mayor who has absolutely no constituents. The UDM in Port Elizabeth has no constituency. They've got no business being a mayor. They've got no business having someone who's a mayor of the place. No business. They must win elections if they want to have a mayor. No. Coalition. The people don't matter. Now it's a mess out there. Then you got these ones, they're busy entertaining each other in the offices. You know, this week someone from Not In My Name, and I was commended NGO, Not In My Name, for organizing 55,000 liters of water for the people of Hammanskraal. But yeah, no, you know, Tshwane, Mokgalapa has redefined what it means to sleep on the job. It's bad. And the DA now, there's no other way. They've got to fire Mokgalapa to set an example. Otherwise, it's going to you feel like, well, we just dressed in different robes, but the same thing. Mokgalapa, embarrassing Tshwane, good embarrassing the Democratic Alliance, just embarrassing us all, man. Embarrassing us all. Anyway, that's also your week, but all I do is going to help me to understand it all. What are the implications for this, for coalition politics? It's just a sense where people, could find an alternative manner in which we can be governed. Because how we've been governed so far has failed. If 700 billion rand can just go down the drain like this, surely there must be a way in which we can rejig the manner in which we are governed. But, we remain prisoners of hope that something will move, something will shake. These developments that are happening in these cities maybe will shake those who decided not to vote. And I got all to from those ones. So I think we register office are voting. Mara ke bona ho tshuma radio ke bona ba tshao tamo ba founa ba complain mara motho ha vote a dura rietse yana ha founa bo di radio station rietse ha vote. He's given up his agency. He's given away your power to determine how you are governed. That's why we have these hung municipalities. That's why we have this mess in these municipalities. People who decided to stay away from the polls. Anyway, let's take a break. And after the break, Polani Dube joins me at the bottom of the hour. And of course, our Frank Talk tonight is on gender-based violence. We break it down some more. And then Tiki Mazwai ends the night for us. Let's take a break now.